Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Weiss. I'm a professor in communication studies and also teaching in the Honors College this year. And I am going to talk to you very briefly about Aristotle's Rhetorical Appeals. So here's a picture of Aristotle, who was an ancient Greek philosopher. He was a student of Plato's, and he was so successful as a student that he started his own school called the Lyceum. And one of the things that he taught in the curriculum was effective public speaking. The reason he taught that was there was a rival group of teachers called sophists who taught the same thing, and Aristotle wanted to steal away their students and make them his students. His treatment of that subject matter, though, was much more comprehensive and much richer, and include his examination of what are called modes or means of persuasion. There are three of them: ethos, pathos, and logos. Very briefly, ethos is that persuasion that takes place because of the person who is doing the speaking or the writing. Pathos is that persuasion that takes place because there is emotional response in the audience. And finally, logos takes place because the speech or the text itself has information, ideas in it that are compelling. So let's see how this works. First of all, here's a picture of Aristotle's Rhetoric, one of the many, many translations of it from the Greek. And here's how the modes of persuasion work. First of all, with ethos, if you have good character and you have expertise or knowledge on the subject matter, it adds additional credence to the message you are delivering. People believe you or listen to you because you sound smart, look smart, and are trustworthy. Pathos is the emotion that's aroused in the audiences and which increase adherence to your message. So if you use very powerful emotional language and you talk about very gripping issues that get your audience emotionally involved in your message, that's the way pathos works. Again, both in writing and in speaking. Logos is what you actually say, the message itself, stripped down to its essence, its logic, its reasoning, its inference, its backing, the forms of support that you offer. So let's look at examples of each one, just a little more in depth. First of all, let's talk about ethos, the character of the speaker or writer. This is a picture of my doctor. Her name is Suzanne Matunis. She has incredibly good ethos for me. In other words, she's so bright, well-educated, smart, and also so very nice, friendly, honest, and trustworthy that almost anything she tells me about my health, I will believe. So I don't have to go and research it myself. She doesn't have to lay out the whole case for me. She's an expert. She has my best intentions in mind. She has credibility. She has expertise. She has trustworthiness. She has empathy and goodwill. And plus, she's a person of very high status in my viewpoint. Many of you may view your own doctor the same way. Next, look at an example of pathos. Pathos is the emotions of the audience. Think about how much that's used in advertising to try to get you, for example, to send money. Here's an ad you might see all the time on television for the ASPCA, where you see suffering animals in cages or abandoned, either freezing or too hot. And, of course, this is to arouse pity and an emotional response in you. And, of course, any emotion that can be aroused in the audience, making them laugh, making them anger, introducing fear, or just making them feel comfortable and safe, are emotional appeals that can be used. Next, let's talk about logos. This is really what we think about when we think about arguing and making a case or making a speech or writing a paper. In other words, the soundness of the case itself. We're going to use facts, reasoning, evidence. We're going to think critically. We're going to be skeptical about sources that we consult. And we're going to make a thoroughgoing inquiry into the subject matter such that we can demonstrate that we have researched the material and that we understand the material that we're presenting. This, by the way, goes back to the very idea of ethos, because if you do good research and you sound like your expertise on the subject matter is up to the subject, it can actually increase the credibility that you have with your audience. Finally, I should point out, these things are not isolated variables. They all interact. For example, you can use certain words to arouse emotions. When there's a very touchy issue in our society, one that is creating great division among people, the way that we frame those things and the way that we refer to those issues definitely arouses emotion. So words can actually do that. Also, the values in the audience can determine ethos. So, for example, if the speaker is a person who's like you or like-minded or someone that you perceive as similar to yourself or somebody that you want to emulate, that person will be more believable to you. Also, the audience's training, remember the audience is the basis of emotions. The audience's training also makes them open to reasoning and evidence. If you're a scientist, or if you're studying law, or if you're a person who's very good at mathematics, or if you're good at examining or understanding data, any argument that's presented to you that includes those dimensions is going to be more likely to be something you'll be able to digest or understand. And each message that we produce, whether written or oral, has a unique balance among these rhetorical appeals. So again, logos, the message; pathos, the emotions in the audience; ethos, the speaker and his or her character. I'm Dr. Stephen Weiss, and if you have any further questions, please email me at weiss@nku.edu.